What happened in Seattle today was the effort of many of us coming together, recognizing that the unlawful behavior that was continuing to devolve in the area known as the Capitol Hill organized protest had to stop. And we came together as an organization. We developed a plan under the authority of the mayor entering her proclamation. We were able to move in tactically and move people out of the area. Chris, we really respect people's First Amendment right to free speech and to assemble. You know, this was coming on the heels of many, many demonstrations regarding Black Lives Matter, and of course, as that was a result of the murder of George Floyd. Folks occupied the area. Initially, the first days were relatively peaceful, but that situation over time devolved to the point that at some point, officers and firefighters were not able to enter the area without extreme resistance and people attacking them. So it became very lawless. As you pointed out, we had two murders. A 19-year-old and a 16-year-old murdered in the area, multiple shootings, gunshots, rape, robbery, assault, and arson. So we needed to develop a plan, we needed to move in, and we needed to take order. And that way we could actually provide the services that we're required to the people who reside and work in that area. Well, you know, people going to the streets is not the issue here. It's the unlawful and brutal behavior that we saw occurring. You know, people exploiting the situation. In terms of the precinct, it was never our intent, and I have to repeat this, to not enter back into the precinct, but the situation had devolved as such that we weren't able to re-enter the facility. So once we were able to get control of the area, we're now in the precinct. We've gone through and checked it for any booby traps or other things that might have been set, and we are restoring order and getting back to business as usual. Depending upon who you talk to, there's a lot of definitions about what defunding means. For us, we are taking this as an opportunity to re-envision how we move forward. It's very clear that we are going to be looking at involving community much more in how our services are provided and what services are provided. So that isn't necessarily a bad thing for us to re-examine what we're doing, re-envision what policing looks like moving forward. We've done a good job in Seattle. We were under a consent decree. We have great de-escalation, crisis intervention, training, many of the practices that are being called for under reform. We've already done them. So now it's time for us to look at how we utilize those practices and also make our agency better. Well, you know, I don't like to get in political quips and involve myself in politics. I will tell you that I do believe that it's very important that we look at systemic racism across all genres and all areas of our society. That includes criminal justice, healthcare, and education. You know, the data and the stats don't lie. We know that people of color, and Black people specifically, are disadvantaged in many of those areas. So we should be looking at how we're going to make sure we have equity and equality for every person who lives, works, and resides in this country, and certainly in the city of Seattle.